Hi, I'm Carmen Wild, and this is Business Without Barriers, the show proving you can break through barriers if you bring humanity back to business. And I'm so excited to have with us today Greg Pearson, also known as the Indiana Jones of business. Greg is the co-founder of Gateway Real Estate Africa, a private real estate development company specializing in built-to-suit turnkey construction. He's also the co-founder of Grit Real Estate Income Group, listed on the London Stock Exchange and the Mauritius Stock Exchange, with a portfolio of 47 income-producing assets worth more than $900 million. Prior to co-founding Grit, Greg was MD of African Operations at ICOM, a New York Stock Exchange-listed infrastructure firm. He has an uncanny ability to develop expansive strategic business networks on a local and global scale. And he has a black book that includes property developers, heads of state, institutional investors, and influential industry role players. He successfully completed a series of developments across the office, retail, leisure, education, and healthcare sectors with experience in over 40 countries. Greg has a passion for Africa, its natural beauty, and the friendliness of its people. In his words, "I think if you grow up the way I did, Africa seeps into your blood. It sits in your soul." He blends his strong business drive, entrepreneurial flair, and people-first collaborative approach with an element of fun in everything that he does. Greg, fondly known as the Indiana Jones of business, has ratcheted up as many adventures, from riding motorbikes across West Africa to surfing most of the coastal countries on the continent, to free diving and even swimming with sharks. And his latest adventure, running the London Marathon in aid of Street Child. We're in for a treat, hearing how this trailblazer and courageous life and business warrior with a heart of gold operates so seamlessly in the realm of extraordinary. Such a privilege to welcome you on the show today, Greg. Thanks for being here.
Thanks so much, Combs. Wow, that's quite an introduction. I don't know if I can live up to all of that, but looking forward to where our discussions are going to lead us.
Awesome. Oh, you so absolutely can live up to that. As I said, it comes seamlessly to you. So you're known as the fish whisperer. I've heard some to you as the fish whisperer.
Yeah, fishing is a big passion. The ocean is a big passion of mine.
Ah, amazing. So what success secrets have you drawn from being such an avid waterman?
So, Combs, I think there's a lot of similarities. I mean, if you look at positions that you get put into, and just going back into the free diving, the surfing lifestyle that people live, often you get put in situations where your body wants to react in a certain way because of the animosity and the position that you are sitting in, the stress levels that your body goes through in various times. And how I can explain that is, when you're paddling out on a big day, going surfing, and you get, the sets break in front of you, you've got 2 or 3 waves coming through, you get held down, you get thrown around, you don't know which is up or down. And you've got 2 decisions. One is to panic and use up whatever air is left inside of you. Or the second is to remain calm, trust your instincts, and react in such a way that you're going to get back up, get that breath of air, gather your thoughts, and move forward again. The same with freediving. When you're freediving, you push yourself, you understand what your body's going to do in when you get to certain depths or certain times underwater. But you understand that because you've been through that before. And again, you calm yourself, you get ready for the situation, and you pass through it without there being any problems. And what I've seen over this period, especially during COVID, is a lot of people had knee-jerk reactions to situations when they were put under stress. And instead of taking a step back, thinking about it, understanding what the adversity was in front of them, and coming up with a solution, it was very quick to either call a force majeure or, there's this is happening to my business at the moment. So let me react quickly to save my business, and we don't worry about all our partners around us and what that knock-on effect is going to be. And, for me, this has really truly tested, who the good leaders are through this COVID period, because in every single situation, we've been able, if we've worked with our partners, we've been able to come up with a strategy and a way that both businesses can actually come out better on the other end. So without going into that panic and that stress straight away, but understanding what that panic is, understanding what that stress is, sitting down, rallying people around you, getting thoughts together, and coming out of that situation with a positive and more stronger business approach is the decision that we took. And it's led us into some good times with regards to future work during this COVID period, as opposed to rallying backwards and trying to catch up and not understanding where our business is going. We know exactly where we're going coming out of COVID.
Wow, that's an incredible, strong position to find yourselves given the global conditions. And I just want to relate it back again because it's such a beautiful insight. So you can panic or you can stay calm. So when you're faced with really tough business conditions, what do you, if you could just kind of take us into Greg's mind in the moment, is it a breathing technique or how do you stay calm?
So calms, as a lot of people will know, I do have a hot head, and I do have a temper, but that's very different to the panic and the emotions that go thereafter. Obviously, there's situations where you're not happy with, but the way that I look at it is before there's a reaction, there's always a period of time to digest, and that period of time there is always a solution. And whatever that solution may be, it's communication, the one thing, because often the more you communicate about your issues and the issues at hand, the more you can get through. So how I look at those scenarios is, in these situations, why do people react in the way that they have? Understand it from their point of view first. Understand what the pressures that have been put against them. Once you know their pressures and you can work out and create solutions for them, often those pressures then get taken off you. And if you collaborate and you communicate on items like that, there's often so many positives that can come out of it and so many ways forward rather than the panic that's been struck in. So on the breathing, there's two individuals and how to deal with panic that I know very well that introduced me to Wim Hof. And it's a technique that for me helps tremendously. It's something that I've done, but just in a different form. And understanding, going into that quiet place, just trying to relax, understand the situation. And the more you can strategize about dealing with the problem at hand, the more seamless that you resolve it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think that's something that, it's always been in my DNA. Come with solutions, don't come with problems. Always going to be my outlook on life.
And that's such a fantastic outlook on life, Greg. Which you said something so interesting. You find yourself in good times, and how wonderful in a global crisis that you can set yourself up in a business where you can see good times coming. So tell us a little bit about what you and your team have done differently, right, during the last few months to set you up for those good times.
So the first thing that we did is, we called the senior people of the business together, and we had a discussion to say, what are the fail-proof sectors? And what I mean by that is COVID is having such an effect on the way that global business is handled today. Mm-hmm. There are some industries that won't be affected or will actually exceed expectations during this period. Now, how do we turn our business around to make sure that those people that are growing and exceeding expectations need us in their lives? Mm-hmm. And what we did is we worked out a key account management structure where we work and we try and identify these businesses that are growing in these hard times that need potentially real estate partners that don't have the necessary capital, to invest into real estate, but they have got the necessary capital to invest into their business models. And what we did is, through our connections and relationships, we reached out to those people to say, you've got this incredible growth strategy coming up in the next 5 years. During this period, or prior to this period, they were growing in such a way that they were using their own capital and not having effective balance sheet usage. And all we did is we came up with a strategy to say, who are the 10 people that we want to work with in Africa? What is our portfolio going to look like in 2 years' time? We worked back with the clients and the key stakeholders that we currently got as well. And we started almost doing these business-to-business relationship discussions to understand what they need and what their hardships are in their business today and where they see their future. The guys that were saying, for the next 5 years, we can't expand into Africa, it was a very, very easy discussion to say, guys, we're here for you. If you need our support, pick up the phone. We're not going anywhere. But the other hand, there were stakeholders going, listen, our balance sheet looks fantastic. We've got all these global orders that have come in. We've secured more business than we know what to do with, but we can't grow. And what we did then is we placed ourselves in line to actually grow with these partners and stakeholders that we already had, and we had it identified some time ago, reached back out to them to say, guys, this is a strategy. We've got the debt that we need. We've got the financing in place. We can go out and we can do the real estate that you guys need to occupy to grow your business as well. And as soon as, I'll never forget one of the conversations with one of the big global businesses that are moving across Africa. He turned around and said, you know what, in 2 months, this is the first phone call that I've had that someone has reached out to me with a strategy to grow businesses. Every single phone call I've had to date is all negativity about how I can't pay, where's our next cash flow going to be coming from. And, from those conversations and the senior management coming up with a new idea or bright ideas to change effectively how we do our business, we've put ourselves in a very positive position moving forward. Obviously, there's still the reality of life of where people sit and the hardships that people are going through, myself included. But people are losing family and friends. We've had people impacted very close to us. We've lost colleagues as well, which has been really, really tough. But unfortunately, we live in a situation at the moment that the world is upside down. And it's not taking advantage of situation, but it's capitalizing on a situation where we're doing what we can. We're giving back in every country that we are working in. We've got amazing initiatives that the staff have put forward with regards to helping out for people in need. But in the same business, we're not apologetic for coming up with new ideas and changing the face of real estate in Africa.
Absolutely. And what's amazing is other businesses require this kind of innovation and thinking. And like you said, this business leader came back to you and said, wow, you're the first people that have actually come to him with a growth plan or strategy. And to my mind, that is way more what we need, because if you plan for disaster and plan for crisis and budget in the losses, that's exactly what you're going to do. And you're doing the complete. So instead of being desperate, what you've done is you went, okay, let's look at how we can partner and collaborate with people, understand their problems and come up with solutions. I think it's absolutely brilliant. And so many can learn from your approach to a crisis. So I'm sure, because you're such a relationship person, I'm sure, so you've seen the complete opposite of what you're doing in your business. In other businesses, that's not the case. So what would you like to share with other business leaders, given what you've done and the successes you've seen and the future you're creating? What can you share with others in terms of doing something different?
So I think, historically, you get a lot of the older businesses, that have been around for many, many years, and they do business a certain way. I think we've had more, we've seen more hardship in those businesses where it's hard to change the direction of the ship. And what I mean by that is, this business has been sailing in a certain direction for 100 years. There's this hierarchy structure that sits there. The CEO, whatever he says is, what everyone has to preach. And there isn't a symbiotic relationship where people can grow, share ideas, come up with new ideas. Because for me, in these times where it's tough, every single person, from the person involved in the front office and making teas and cleaning up, all the way through to the CEO, are going through their own hardships. They're going through their own understanding of what their own reality is. Now, if we get ideas from all different people within the same organization, often your thought process is blended. It means so much more than someone that's earning $1 million and has a salary cut by 20%. What does that actually mean? It means nothing, because they still live a good life. The person that's earning 20,000 rupees and gets a 20% or 50% salary cut means that they can't feed their family. Now, that's the hardship that you need to hear about. How do you make those changes? What does that effect do for the people that are coming to work every day? How does your spending and the way that you portray yourself in the office come across to the people? Because if you want your team to pull together, if you want your staff to rally around you, they must understand that you're also in for hard lines. It's not just them that are sacrificing, but it's you yourself. And there's been so many instances where we're working at 11 o'clock at night, 1 o'clock in the morning, and we've had our person in the front office staying just so they can keep us hydrated, bring us water, make us coffees. That's proper teamwork. And I just think, to business leaders, the more you can get your whole team involved in everything, communication. If there's hardship in the business and you're battling with cash collections, talk to the staff about it. Tell them why you're making the decisions you are, because if the senior management and even at management level, if they don't understand the hardships of where the business is sitting, or what the problems are that the business faces, they also react in a certain way. You don't want them pushing against you; you want them pulling with you, and that's just something that I've seen. The understanding and the camaraderie that we've done within the group and the organizations has just been unbelievable. New friendships that have been created, new understanding of people's families and what they've gone through, where different people are at different times. It's been truly unbelievable. And as a leader, I've actually gone into something that I haven't done previously, which is sit down and have sessions with different members of staff, where it's something that I do on a weekly basis at the moment, is choose a staff member that I felt that I haven't caught up with over a month, and have a discussion and see what they feel about the business, see if there's any areas of change in their section that they can manage. And that whole discussion about them being CEOs of their own roles and responsibilities, and coming back and feeding back and giving me that information on what they need to excel in their positions, I think has actually put us in the position that we are at the moment.
Wow. And it speaks so much into your whole ethos around collaboration and building relationships. And now you're taking that to a whole new level, or deeper level, actually, inside your own team. And I'd love to actually go there, because you have an uncanny ability to develop very deep relationships and long-term relationships. And because of that, you've been able to call on people in some of the toughest times of business. How much of your successes do you attribute to relationships?
Comms, absolutely everything. For me, the reason why I get up in the morning is to go to work, but work is so much more than just going and sitting at my desk and typing emails and making phone calls. For me, there's so much more to working with people that first of all enjoy the relationship that we have to offer, and also like-minded people. So I've got a great story about Stuart Halley Miller, Adamo Valley, and Colin, guys that we've been working with in Mozambique for probably 14, 15 years. And back in the day, I would say probably around about 2008, we went to a little place called Tet in Mozambique. And we were looking to do a development, or they were looking to do a development there. And we walked around, found a piece of land, had these amazing dreams of this piece of land that was going to be developed. that evening we made a fire. Stuart pulled a shovel off the back of his four-wheel drive, turned the shovel upside down, threw it over the coals, and chucked a piece of meat on it, and that was dinner. You know, those kind of stories, when you're now sitting in a boardroom, you know, people can relate to that. You know, you've been down the road, you've kicked dirt with these people, you've had a relationship for such a long period of time, and you've built successful businesses together. And sharing those stories, you know, 14 years, 15 years later, you know, there's that. You will do as much as you possibly can for these individuals that have helped you through your hard times, because every business is going to go through hard times. Every person's going to go through hard times. And those relationships are there to pick you up and keep you going, and also help out where they can. This story, they've become great investors and stakeholders for us. But more so, you know, they're friends. And that's what we've built our business out of. We can tell stories about all these African countries that we operate in, local people, Sir Sam Jonah in Ghana, what he's done for us, the relationship that we've had with him, and every story, every country has its story. Riding my motorbike through West Africa, fishing in more than 15, 16 African countries, something that is my absolute passion. But yeah, riding my motorbike, going and meeting these individuals at various points in time, staying at their homes, meeting their families, going to weddings, going to funerals. It's been, you know, it's as you mentioned earlier, it's in my blood, it's in my soul. This is who I am. It's something that if you offered me 2 weeks to go on holiday to a city like New York or London, as much as I love both of them, or 2 weeks on a motorbike somewhere in Africa on a beach, that's where I'm going. You know, with a tent and a surfboard and a fishing rod. I'll see you in 2 weeks' time.
So that's a gorgeous picture. So tell me a little bit, you've kind of alluded to it. So, because what I wanted to ask you is, so how do you develop these kind of relationships? What are the things that you're doing that blows people away to such an extent that you become friends, and then they will help you out in crisis situations? Is it the weddings and the funerals, going beyond the call of duty, them seeing that you're just this real, authentic person? What is it that you're doing, especially in this diverse territory that you're going into, where there's cultural differences, there's culture, there's race, there's so many different differences. How are you bridging all of those? What are you doing?
So, Combs, I think the first thing is, you know, when I always go into different countries, I'm a guest in their country. So my ego stays at home, and doesn't follow me wherever I go. And the reason why I say that is, you know, when you're going into diverse cultures, you're going into new countries, you know, sometimes I'm doing five countries a week. And for me, that's such a mental shift, and it's actually draining. You know, when you get to a different country, that the culture and the way that you treat people is very different to the country that you've just been in 12 hours ago. And understanding what that means to the individuals that you're dealing with and reacting with is such a big thing as well. And I think that's been one of my biggest lessons, is understanding a culture, understanding a person, understanding a country. So when you go into a country, you don't go saying, this is, you know, we're here to come in and save you. You know, Africa has been around as long as the rest of the world has, and it's still standing. What we do is we come in, we understand what those local cultures are, and we try and see where we can add any value, or, you know, maybe make the process slightly easier, or bring a bit of, you know, knowledge that we've got to learn in other countries, and try and bring it in. And it's actually reality. It's not going there to say, this is what we can do. You know, we're going to come here. We've got the money. We're going to go do X, Y, Z. We're going to sort your life out, and you're going to sail into the sunset with $1 million in your pocket. That's not what it is at all. It's understanding that, you know, every business, it takes a long time to bed down the relationships. It's putting proper procedures in place. It's understanding the cultures and how we deal with those cultures between where we base now at the moment, head office Mauritius, understanding what they do in the various countries, and it's longevity. I never want to meet someone to go in and do one transaction with them. I want to meet someone that I'm going to do transactions with and grow the business for 10 years. We've got an amazing story where we've transacted with someone. Their son went to school in London from Africa, finished school, actually applied for an internship. We took him on, and he's actually grown through the business to be one of the senior members in the team. And you look at a story like that, and how, when you pick up the phone to this individual to say, we've got a problem in this country, or we've got an issue with this contractor, for him to pick up the phone and help by having that conversation, it's not even a second thought. It's just something that gets done out of habit, because absolutely they would do it for you. And it's vice versa as well. So if you see a lot of the relationships that we have with the countries that we operate in the moment, these relationships have stayed for many, many years. And you see the same with our stakeholders as well. Often the stakeholders that we have been with us for a long time, because we value those people, and we actually put time and effort into understand them and their lives as well. And we have a reality of actually caring. If something happens to one of them or not, if there's something to celebrate, it's in our culture to celebrate it with them. Life is tough. No matter who you are, everyone goes through hardships. And as long as we're there to celebrate the good moments as well as help through the bad moments, that's what our relationships are all about.
Wow. So say I was on your team and you tasked me with going into a part of Africa that is quite a tough territory and very particular culture. What are the guides that you would give me? Say, common, be sure to do this, don't do this, or what would be those keys that you'd equip me with?
So the first thing is listen.
Okay.
And the second thing is observe.
Mm-hmm.
So what I mean by that is, so often people get entrenched in speaking without listening. And what I mean by that is, you'll sit in a meeting and people will start talking about themselves and their businesses and what they can do and how they can help you, without understanding what help is actually required. Observe the mannerisms in the meeting. Observe how people talk, because as a South African, we are viewed across the continent as being arrogant. And the reason for that is we're loud. We also like to dominate meetings. We like to dominate conversation. And in a lot of cultures, it's actually picked up as rude. So the more you observe and understand how people talk to each other within the meetings, let them tell you what the issues are first, and address that with the way that we can resolve those problems. I think that's been part of our success to date as well. Always understand what the problems are before you go out and tell them how you can fix their problems, not knowing what issues they have at hand. And the third thing is, there's not very many times that I would send any team member into any of the African countries if it's their first time visiting that country without me accompanying them. And it's just something that is, it's something that I love doing. Introducing people to certain cultures and nuances in those countries. I think it's an experience that you always want to remember. The first time you traveled to Nigeria, the first time you went to Ethiopia, pick up on all those little nuances and actually look at the surroundings, take it in, understand it, and actually cherish it, because those memories are going to be with you for the rest of your life. And this is what we do for a living every single day. We wake up and we have the gratitude to actually say, wow, at the moment, yes, we can't travel, but during the times that we could, how lucky am I to be in this different country, sharing stories with these different people, meeting amazing people along the way. I just think it's just, we live in a very lucky time.
I really like that. So if I was your team member, I'd feel really like I'm in a safe place. So I'm going into a territory where, if I had to go on my own, it would be pretty daunting. But now I have someone to shadow and listen and observe, not only the people we're visiting, but you as well. And that's so important in terms of leadership and setting that example. And I'm sure your team members are very thankful for that, because I know they all of them have this essence in them in terms of the relationships. Um, so I'd like you to dig a little bit more into your company, Gateway Real Estate Africa, where in the last 3 years you've had some extraordinary successes. You've had huge challenges as well. However, you've had really amazing successes. And so relationships, I'm sure, is part of that. What else do you attribute these successes to? What are you and your team doing to pave the way for that?
So I think, we've always had a very strong work ethic, but work ethic not to show that you're sitting at a desk till 9 o'clock at night doing nothing, but to actually talk up, face challenges, and provide solution. And what I mean by that is, often in organizations where people sit in a hierarchy, they're always worried about, if they say something, they might get fired, or if they say something out of turn, how's my seniors going to look at this? Or we encourage people to speak out. If there's something that they feel that they can streamline in our business, we want them to say something. So we challenge staff members, people that come up with the best ideas every year. We reward people that come up with new innovative ideas. We reward. So there is a big sense of holding people accountable for changing their business area. And I think that has been, a big success in our business as well, where you've got members that have joined the business and speak out with regards to things that they see that they can change. We recently had someone join our business that came out with a new strategy on how we would report on all of our projects. And that saved hours of our team members. So how we create those dashboards and the look and feels, things like that, we need that innovation. We need people to come up with different ideas. And I surround myself with people that are happy to talk and not push people down. And again, what I mean by that is, if you look at the Exco members, anyone in our business has got free access to walk into any of our offices at any point in time and have a frank and direct conversation if they don't like what's happening, or they think that there's areas that they can improve on. And I think what that does is it keeps a very flat structure where they understand, certain decisions that need to get made at certain levels. However, there's no one in the business that can't challenge any of those decisions, and that keeps everyone on their toes as well. So every decision that gets made for the right reason. It's not for anyone's for self-betterment. It's not to try and climb ahead of the chain quicker than anyone else or push any of their colleagues down, because if we see any of that, we'll deal with that straight away as well. So it's something that everyone has to take on their own shoulders as well. It's a responsibility that, you have got freedom to say what you want to say, but it also comes with making sure that you're doing it for the right reasons, because there will be for every action, there's a reaction. So if it's not done for the right reasons, there will be a reaction.
What I'm seeing is an amazing similarity with grit, where there's just this absolute, it's not an absence of ego, but it's the right ego that's in place. So you don't have this power hungry, look at me, I'm so clever approach. It is, let's collaborate. You can bring your ideas to the table, but we can also call on each other if need be. And it's a rare quality to see in a company, especially in the financial services industry, where you can be that open, like you say, a flatter structure, just this deep, authentic, and honest relationships. How have you created that as a leader?
So, I mean, for me, it's common sense. If you've got a youngster coming out of, vast university, he's just done 4 years, he's majored in something. It's cutting edge technology, it's new technology. I will never say you can't teach old dogs new tricks, but to be honest with you, it's part. These guys that have this special knowledge and have just gone through all this training. It's something that we need to bring in the business and keep the business fresh. Now, if we have got a bunch of guys my age, and when I mean guys and girls, my age, that's dictating how we're going to move our business forward, we're going to be left behind. We need the youngsters to be coming through, like technology. I don't understand the technology they understand. I've never played TV games and PlayStation in my life before. Not that that's in our business now, but it's understanding how the millennials work. Whether it's Facebook, whether it's Instagram, now TikTok. Again, I don't understand the social media part of this and how this rolls into our business, where we've got these creative youngsters that do an amazing job at it. So why would I restrict them to grow the business? Because we're growing the business together for each other. So it's something that we always challenge each other. Who comes up with the most innovative idea? All the youngsters that come through, let's sit with them, let's understand what they do, and try to push that through the business. So wherever possible, we're looking for change. If we feel that we've been stagnant for 6 months, you can feel the business starts getting stuck in the mud. We need to come up with new ideas. We need to change these ideas or test the ideas that we have there. And we'll have sessions where the exco will sit and look at different models that we're doing and the way we're trying to create business, and say, well, do we change this? Is this the right tools to be using in these countries? Maybe we need to change it per country, which we do every single time, because Africa is made up of 54 countries, not one. Every country needs its own nuances. It needs its own ideas. So try to keep things fresh where possible.
Sure. So much agility and willingness to adapt and shift and recheck your thinking constantly. What would you say, if you look at all the skills within your business and what you do well, what would you say is a key differentiator?
Adaption. So what I mean by that is understanding. So a lot of people go out and put business ideas saying, I am going to be the best real estate company in Africa. Rah, rah, pat you on the chest. Awesome. Okay, let's go do this. What does that mean? Get to understand what is your sector, first of all. How are you going to get business? How are you going to change people's lives? How are you going to make it easier for stakeholders to run their business by you doing real estate? Until you understand all of that, nothing's going to change, nothing's going to succeed. You might land 1 or 2 projects, you might have a successful business for a period of time because you got lucky, but that's not sustainable. And I think that's a big thing for us as well, is sustainability. We want these businesses to be here long past our times. If our children end up working in these businesses and carry on through, even if they don't decide to be involved, we want these businesses to be here for 100 years. There is no long-term real estate, Pan-African real estate businesses, that have lasted 100 years, but the rest of the continent, the rest of the world sees these, businesses that have been around for 100, 150 years owning real estate. Why can't we have it in Africa?
Absolutely. And what do you think is going to enable your business to be one of those built to last?
I think it's that mindset, Combs. It's to understand that, people must have the ability to challenge. No one is bigger than the business. And that's the first thing that we always say. Everyone can go. We will never ever build a business off one person. So the first thing I do is, if there's a relationship that we haven't had within the business that I've had for years, or if there's a new relationship that comes into the business, no one clutches onto it. It's shared. So, at different sectors or different levels within that business, there's people to pick up on that. And the reason why we do that is, we have had people that unfortunately have passed on or moved to different positions, or moved companies. And we don't want to lose the relationship with the company. Yes, we grow and we might have another relationship where they move to. But everyone in the organization has to have their piece of where they fit in and own part of the relationship that they're working on. So no one is, so everyone, can move on, and the business will still be there. And it's getting that mindset and that mentality right.
So the ethos of this show is about breaking through those barriers by bringing humanity back to business. And so many of the concepts you've been sharing with us speaks to that. So when I say to someone like you, bring humanity back to business, what comes to mind? Why would that be important to you?
So the big thing for us is again, going back onto humanity relationships, what does it actually mean? Almost all of us spend most of our lives working. Okay. So if we're not having fun doing it, why are we doing it? If we're not growing as people, as individuals, why would you go and choose to put yourself into a space where you don't like the people around you and you don't like what the company that you work for is doing? And, over and above that, we always have been and will always be known to work hard and play hard. And what that means is, when I get up in the morning and put my feet on the floor, I'm excited for what the day is going to behold. Whether it's going into a board meeting and having hard days and tough days, that's all part of the process. And it's understanding that, it's taking that on and actually enjoying it, and recognizing the fact that, we've had a flipping hard 2 weeks, but now what do we do to change it? Why are we going through this hard time? What we can do to give back to communities, that's such a big thing for me. What we can do to give back to the ocean. There's many programs that we're working on at the moment to try and get that change. And without recognition, without some kind of, business or having a platform to be heard, none of that can be done. So a little bit earlier on, I was saying, leave your ego at the door when you have meetings, but there needs to be a good part to an ego as well. And what I mean by that is, if you sit in a room and do nothing and you're not heard by anyone, you can never make a change, or you can never actually add any value to anyone else's life. If you're doing good business, your business is starting to become successful, you can give back through ESG initiatives, which are all approved by your board. You can actually start changing people's lives and what you do on a day-to-day basis. That's what gets you up in the morning. The fishing trip that you have in Ghana, the barrels, the surfing that you have in Senegal, all of those kind of things is, it gets that your blood going. It's that smell of Africa, that flair of Africa. You can't find that anywhere else in the world. To go and sit and wake up in the morning and go fishing, go and have 12 hours in a boardroom and still get barreled at the end of the day, whether it's in Nigeria, whether it's in Gabon, just these little nuances where you can actually, do a full week in cities and break away and be on the beach for the weekend, where you don't see another person for 1,000 kilometers and no one else has walked on those beaches for 3 weeks. And you just, in this bliss, understanding what that means as well, putting that all together, and at the end of the day, making sure that you as a person are adding value in people's lives, trying to make a change where you can, and actually making sure that the people that are in the organization are enjoying what they're doing, because if they're not, they shouldn't be there. And it's easy to say that we all love what we do, rah rah, let's sing kumbaya around the fire, but it's not that at all. People that are not enjoying what they're doing are not going to make a difference. They're not going to keep your business agile, and they're not going to put in the effort and come up with these new ideas and the initiatives that we want them to do. So when we recruit, it as something, we often joke around saying, we're recruiting family to stay, that are like-minded people that love traveling Africa. If you're going to, like, every trip that you go on, you're going to hate where you travel, then unfortunately our business is not for you. So I probably rambled a little bit much about this, but as you can see, it
You're
means quite
passionate.
a lot to.
Absolutely. So tell me what developed this passion in you. So you've got this like extraordinary sense of connectedness with people and building these authentic, deep, beautiful, long relationships that just go beyond the ordinary. And you've got a different way of thinking about challenges. What would you say, is it a circumstance or the way you brought up? What brought you to this place where that's just in your DNA?
So yeah, I think Carms, growing up in South Africa, we lived in quite a remote area in the early stages of my life. Spent a lot of time in what was known then as Ponderland, the Transkei, now the Eastern Cape, and understanding and getting that affiliation to people and understanding, different cultures and having that passion for Africa. You know, every person that I've met along the way has had some kind of impact, whether it be negative or positive. But it's to take those circumstances and cherish them and actually see what grows out of that. If you don't put any effort in, you don't get anything back out. And that's always been something for me is, the hardships that people face, the hardships that countries face, there's a reason for that. And without going too deep into the whole background of what I believe and what different people are going to have impacted on me and my life. I've just always had this affiliation to understanding different cultures and understanding different people and actually having meaningful relationships. So, if I'm phoning you, I'm not phoning you for my gain all the time. Yes, there's obviously sometimes where I'll pick up the phone and I need help. But it's genuine compassion. It's genuinely understanding that, it's one Africa, but yet there's 54 countries in Africa. Mm. It's that genuine relationship to understand that, Africa has come through hard times. The people of Africa have suffered huge hardships. And it's trying to make that difference, trying to give back a little. We've been very fortunate that, we've lived in a fortunate environment and lifestyle for the last, 10 years. And every little bit that we can do, that I can do to make a change and improve someone's quality, give them the opportunity, get them involved in what we're doing and share that passion. That's something that, I can't hide. And I think that's what comes out of my relationships as well, is the genuine connection that I have with people that actually care and want to give back as well. So where we have common ground, the stories that we share, when people understand who I am as a person as well, and what we can do together, and what I don't want anything out of the relationship per se, but what we can actually do together to make a difference, is the reason why the relationships can stand the test of time. They adapt, they move forward, they grow.
Absolutely. It's such an abundance mindset that you have. So your willingness to add value and to contribute, how does that just bring back into your life? How would you say that happens?
So, I've got a lot of stories that I can share, but just little things like, the ocean for me is probably my biggest passion, and anything to do with it, from sustainable fishing through to diving through to surfing. It's things that have shaped who I am today, and the pleasure that gives me when we can do something small as a business, or what we can give back to a community, or all of those little things. it's so heartful to me. It's who I am and it's what I want to be. If I can make a slight difference in the way people view sustainability, then I'm going to feel satisfied that I've been able to give back something small. And I think it's all those small little actions where people can actually start reflecting and understanding what we have to do as society, as humans, what we have to give back. If everyone can start doing that, not 5% of the world, but maybe 20% of the world, I think we'll live in a very different environment to what we see today. And I think that's who I am, and that comes through in the way that I do business, the way that I involve people and bring them into relationships as well.
Mm. So coming back to you being the Indiana Jones of business, I don't know another person that has done so many different things and has so many stories and tries so many different and weirdly diverse things as you have done, which makes for very interesting fire chats. And what I want to know is, what has created, how do you get so good at so many things in one lifetime?
Sheesh, that's flattering. Thanks, Coms. But it's just I've got first of all, I'm like super ADHD, so I can't sit still for more than 5 minutes. As you can see, I'm rocking backwards and forwards on the chair and standing up and sitting down. So a lot of people that meet me will see, whether it's waking up in the morning and going for a run, surfing in the afternoon, paddling in the evening, and a little sup before dinner. It's being active all day, every day. So every country that I go to, I always see what the attractions are, what we can do there. And a bit of adrenaline in the blood is always a good thing, I believe. So whether it's skydiving, whether it's free diving, whether it's spearfishing, fishing, anything that's going to get the heart pumping and get that feeling of being alive going. I'm for sure going to be putting my hand up, and it's giving your best for everything. Whether it's I don't know, anything to do with getting that heart rate up and feeling the passion of being alive. It's who I am. It's in my DNA, and I'm not going to stop doing it. The stories of traveling through Africa on a motorbike, not knowing where to sleep, sleeping on beaches, meeting little tribes and forests. It's just unbelievable that we still have this in our world, and very few people are actually willing to go out there and find it and explore. And I think it's that adventure and that life that's in my blood that keeps me going.
Mm. So you've done so many amazing and some very crazy things as well. So and when you have such a keen sense of living in adrenaline and this pumping going on in your blood, have you ever personally been through a near-death experience that has given you an even greater sense of being alive?
Yeah, I mean, I've broken I've had some big injuries over the time. I've broken my neck, I've broken my back, I've smashed my pelvis. And the last big operation that I had, I was actually in the UK for quite a while. I was in hospital for about 3 months. And that just gives you a new understanding of life, taking things for granted, walking around, simple pleasures that you wouldn't even think of on a day-to-day basis, but it's appreciating them and understanding them and not forgetting about them thereafter. And it's something that I remind myself all the time. Like when you're in an incident like that where your health is a problem, and I've been through quite a few of these situations in my life where there's been issues with my health in various ways. It's understanding that, learning from that, and moving forward. So that's not to say that I'm going to change the who I am and what I'm going to do and the explorations that I go on, but it's to understand at that point in time, don't take anything for granted, and every single day that we've got here, make full use of it. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the difference of waking up in the morning and making sure that every single day that you've got, you take advantage of, because you never know when that clock's going to stop ticking.
Yes, gives you such a different perspective on life. So I'd love you to take us, because you think so differently. If you could go through your memory bank and pick out a really, really tough, it could be business or personal experience that you've experienced, and take us into your mind and how you worked through it. What are the things that you do when you encounter that kind of difficulty that moves you through something like that?
So maybe I'll just touch on the listing of Grit on the London Stock Exchange, and that period of my life and our lives, when we were putting that together and understanding it, and it almost failed so many times, and so many people said to us, what are you guys doing? You come from nothing. It's so far beyond your capability. Why are you doing this? And it's just that in your face directness all day, every day. You're going to fail. You're going to fail. You're going to fail. We spent 3 months living in London without seeing family and friends. We gave up so much to actually try and get through this hurdle. But there were those few people, those relationships that we've had that understand who we are, that actually pulled us aside and said, you actually have got this. You need to think clearly, be positive. All the adversity that gets put in front of you, move around it. Just don't take it on. Don't take on that negativity. And I mean, there were some periods where Bronwyn would be broken, and I'd have to pick up the bat and run forward with it. But we always made sure that there was someone running forward. At some points in time, and I think that's just the relationship that we had at that period of time over that listing is, we were there to support each other. Leon, the CFO of the business at the time, was going through huge difficulties with the audit and the amount of information and process that had to happen to become a London listed business. And the three of us rallied together and stood by each other and called on those relationships when we needed to. Like so many times we were told, okay, guys, it's all over. We're not going to get this done. And we would sit down, come up with another idea, come up with another strategy. And it's that never say die attitude. We can do this. Why is anyone else that has been able to achieve this any different to us? We've got clever people around us. We had a great team around us. And we needed to get it done. So, we always knuckled down, came up with different ideas, came up with different solutions, and we would move one step at a time, 1 foot in front of the next, and make sure that we got to that line at the end of the day. And, celebrating that success for the business and that achievement for the three of us and for us individually and what that meant to us, was just something that is unbelievable. And the biggest problem that I've had in my life and is not celebrating those successes enough and not understanding them. And that is something that I've made a huge shift in my world in the last 6 months, is to actually recognize when something is to be celebrated, or where the team or the business has achieved something that you can actually look back and reflect, and without having an ego or arrogance, actually enjoy the process that you've just been through.
Sure. That's such a powerful message there in terms of the celebration, even when you're going through a tough time. And so the one thing that's also, I know, been tough for you over the last 6 months, which you had to adapt to, is the travel restrictions, which has meant not being able to see your children for such a long time. And so many parents find themselves in a similar situation across the globe.
Yeah.
What surprising, I wouldn't say benefit, but surprising upside has come from this really difficult, incomprehensible situation that you would never have thought would come about from this?
So comms, again, down to communication. And, for me, this has been one of the toughest things to actually deal with. I didn't know how I was going to, if you brought this question up, how I was going to be able to handle it emotionally. But it has really been tough for me not to see my kids since March. And the thing, the positivity to come out of this is the relationship that we have. Myself, my son Sedge, and my daughter Tori, and the foundation that has been laid through their lives with me being their father. I've traveled their whole lives. So yes, I've had limited access to see them, but when I see them, I'm present. And what that meant for me is in those period of times, the amount of memories and the foundation that we had laid, in our relationship is cemented for life. If I don't see them now for 4 months, yes, it's hard for me personally. It rips my heart every day, but it's an emotional thing. It's not something that I need to worry about, about my relationship with my children, because they know how much I love them. They know the relationship I have with them. They know, it's not something that is going to change in 2 months, 4 months, or 6 months. It's been a foundation that has been set since the day they were born to today. Still, beforehand, I didn't used to talk to them much Monday to Friday because I was always on a plane traveling to different countries. Now we send each other messages and little videos and little voice recordings on a daily basis. Weekends we have Zooms and FaceTime chats, and it's different ways to adapt in actually growing your relationship. So I've seen them grow so much in the last 4 months where I've been away from them, but how I've been able to keep up to date with what they're doing just by that relationship across the phone. And that goes back again into the way that I view life. If you're not there, heart and soul, don't be there. Yes, people are parents and have relationships for the sake of doing what they think is best at the time, or doing what's best with what they know how. But for me, the relationship and the time to put in with your kids, or any relationship that you have, is be present in that situation. Give your heart and soul to the situation that you're in. When you're spending time with your children, spend that time with them, not on your phone, not on social media, not playing games. It's growing that relationship and understanding how you move forward and how you grow together.
All comes back again for you, and such a beautiful thread right through your life in terms of this relationship. And now you've had that special opportunity to go even deeper with these beautiful people in your life, and even some people I've spoken with are pushing back and resisting so much around this digital connection, and they're saying to themselves, we can't do this, we can't connect with people, we can't build relationships. But the world has changed, and what you're showing is that you can absolutely deepen the relationships, create new relationships. You haven't traveled for so many months, but your business is still going in the right direction. So you're testament to this amazing richness around relationships. And thank you so much for sharing that with us. It's just been such a beautiful recurring theme right through this conversation. And your face just lights up because you know that there's just so much substance around the relationship stuff. Share with us something that very few people would know that maybe you've done in indie style, something fun, different, maybe whacked. Share something that comes to mind.
So, sure, Coms, that's putting me on the spot there a little bit, but I think one of my affiliations with Africa, something that's a little bit out there, is over a period of time, I rode a motorbike from Gabon to Morocco along the coast, and one of my first passions in life is surfing, and I got to surf and document a lot of waves along the way. Got to meet a lot of interesting people, and caught a lot of great fish along that coast as well. But also shared a lot of, understood who I was, the scary times of, spending that first night on the beach and not knowing where you are or who your surroundings are, or, not having anyone with you. I think things like that is really challenging and really tests who you are as a person. But would I change it for the world? Absolutely not. I've got a black book of people in relationships in Africa, but man, I've got a black book of waves across Africa as well. And I think that's a big thing coming out of COVID, and when we can travel again, is myself and two of my really good mates, Seth and Jason. We've put this little thing together where we're going to go back and surf a lot of these waves and take our as we call it in the surfing world, our grommets with us, and show them these waves and enjoy, riding waves and learning new cultures and fishing these amazing places that we have across our continent.
Sounds crazy, but amazing at the same time. What would you say? I mean, you must have spent a lot of time alone, and if you're on beaches, it's dark, it's scary. What did you learn most about yourself over that? How long was it? What period of time was it?
So off and on, I mean, I've been traveling through the balance of Africa since 2006 to today. It's an ongoing process of learning. But in those periods of times, if you actually don't enjoy what you're doing, you wouldn't be there. So for me, reflecting and understanding why I'm there, there's some countries I enjoy more than others. And I tend to find myself back in those countries and tend to find more opportunities in those countries. And, if you see that as a person as well, you always, you're not going to change who you are overnight. So if you're willing to grow and accept, it's going to take time, and you can change as a person and get to grow and understand and take on new ideas. But how I look at that is in my life is you always gravitate as a human to the path that is easier for you. Now, everyone's path is different. Some people's paths are mountainous and, other people have very easy paths. But those that are on the path least traveled are the people that are, in my opinion, going to make a change, going to understand how different cultures work, and are going to understand people, and have relationships with people in many parts of the world. So going off on a bit of a tangent again, but I think just understanding, that, in those times where you are alone and there is nothing around you and you think to yourself, why have I done this? It's something that you need to actually ask yourself every day. Why are you going to work every day? Why are you hanging with the people that you're hanging with today? Why are you doing what you do? And if it's not fitting and you're not excited and happy to be doing that on a daily basis, you only live once, change it. Don't let anyone else put you in a situation that you don't want to be in. If you want to be there, go for it. Yes, it is hard and challenging. Sometimes you choose a course for yourself that is going to test you, but without being tested, you're not going to grow as a human. And I really, really, truly believe that you need to be taken out of your comfort zone often in order to grow. There's a good example. You've traveled to work every day, you travel on the same road, you actually become oblivious to your surroundings. Take a different road one day, see what's out there, and you'll be amazed. On that same trip, you've gone maybe 500 meters different today than you did for the last year, and you'll see how much has changed, different trees you recognize. And it's understanding those surroundings all the time and putting yourself in those situations where you can actually observe the world rather than being oblivious to what's in front of you.
You've touched on something so amazing and amazingly deep there, where you don't actually have to be on a lonely beach in the middle of Africa on a dark night to feel maybe alone. So many people right in their own homes in a big city with people around them are feeling like that. And it's very important to take that time and just reflect, like you say, and ask yourself those questions. And if you can go into nature, absolutely do that. But what I love about what you're saying is you've pushed yourself to the edge. You've jumped over the side of the cliff at times, but you've never ever stopped pushing and growing, and the relationships have been key. And it sounds to me like the relationship with yourself has also been key throughout this journey. Wow, so many amazing pearls. So a last thought I'd love you to share is, if you had the opportunity to speak with all 7 billion people on the planet today, what is the message you'd love to share?
I think there's understanding people, and the message to share with the 7 billion people is every bit of difference is a difference. So anyone that's willing to make a change, if everyone could do one thing different every day, the world would be a much better place of where we are today. And what I mean by that is, from as simple as throwing a sweet paper on the ground, instead of throwing one down, collect one. Every single little bit of change that people will take on in their lives will make such a significant difference in the world. And also to understand where you are and give gratitude for what you have in this life. And I think by understanding that and being appreciative of where you are and what you've experienced in your time will also have a huge significance in people's lives. Often we get caught up in the emotion in the moment, and we don't actually sit back and reflect and appreciate our surroundings and where we are and where we've come from and where we're going. So I think the more people would understand that and see what their impact is in this world, that's the message, is to reflect on where you are today, understand where you are today, and make a difference moving forward. It's never too late to make a change.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And thank you, Greg, Indy, Fish Whisperer, all these different beautiful self. Thank you for your magnetism and the evolved leader that you are, and for helping us through the insights you've shared so amazingly and so abundantly with us today, that you can overcome the barriers that you face, and you can create amazing successes even through the worst adversity like we're experiencing, adversity that we're experiencing globally right now. And the key that you've shared, which thank you so much, is you can do all of that through authentic, deep relationships, and not only with others, but that authentic relationship with self. Thank you so much for that, and thank you for making such a beautiful difference in our world, for all the people that you serve. Just thank you for being the magnificent Indy and Greg that you are, and for being on the show today.
Cobbs, thank you so much for having me. It's been a real pleasure, and actually been really cool to share some stories and reflect on my time and my journey through this wonderful continent we live on, and looking forward to see where we go from here. And thank you for your time and your effort that you've put in to me as well. I really appreciate it.
It's an absolute pleasure. And for all of those listening, you don't have to do this alone. If you're going through tough barriers, obstacles are in your way, and you have a desire to get over them, let's connect. Find someone to connect and calibrate, see where you are and where you want to be, and find the people around you. As Greg has said so beautifully, the relationships are such a key to being a success. So find the people around you where you can co-create those winning solutions, and you absolutely will get through. Thank you again, Greg, and go well.